I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me, and when it has gone past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. Where the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain. Earlier this week, I finished Dune by Frank Herbert, which is the first book in the Dune saga. And for those of you who don't know or who are maybe new to my page, this is actually the book that kind of got me started on doing book reviews and talking about, all the fiction that I enjoy reading. It was right after the second movie came out. I posted like some silly video about how great Dune was, or you should read the book or something like that. And people started asking me lore questions about this series because there were a lot of questions after the movies, and a lot of questions referring to the books themselves. So that's actually kind of how I got started. So this book is a major reason as to why I've been successful so far on social media, or at least how I got my start on social media, making book content. As for the review, though, besides all that, this book means a lot to me beyond the social media stuff. This is my favorite book of all time. This is just one of those stories where every time I read it, this is my third time rereading it, I am just astounded by Frank Herbert and everything that he manages to accomplish in a single novel. I think that Dune is legitimately one of the best science fiction books out there, period. And that's not like an unpopular opinion. It is considered a science fiction classic. I mean, this is stuff some professors teach in some college courses. This is like as important to science fiction as Lord of the Rings is to fantasy. So that's not like a crazy take, but like for me, this book is just a monument to like the genre. It's a monument to fiction, and I just absolutely adore it. And I'm always curious about rereading favorite books, as I've said before, because I'm always worried that they won't hit the same, or that maybe I'll pick up on some new impression that will taint the book for me in some sort of way. But Dune is one of those exceptional books where the more you reread it, I think the more you begin to appreciate certain nuances that Frank Herbert had in his story. The first time I read it, I was just completely invested in the science fiction of it, like the actual, like space opera that is Dune. And let me tell you guys right now, the actual just surface level story, what you can just perceive upon first reading, the story of Paul Atreides becoming the Kwisatz Haderach, the Lisan al-Gaib, that is an incredible, just surface level thing. That is an amazing plot. It's paced very well. I love the characters in Dune. I think they're some of the best in science fiction and in fantasy. Paul is an all-time favorite protagonist for me. I put him right under like Rand al'Thor for favorite, to be honest. I love the side characters. I love just the plans within plans, the machinations within machinations. I love how operatic it feels. It really does feel like you're kind of watching this kind of like very fun, almost Shakespearean play just come alive in this novel. So all of those things are exceptional. The action when it happens is great. The dialogue is awesome. The inner thoughts are awesome. I love the world building. I think it's some of the best out there. I love all the ideas. But upon like a second and third rereading, that's really when you know the story, so you can kind of dive into like the parts in between that Frank Herbert's really discussing. You can really dive into the politics, the philosophy, the ecology, the hints at what might come in the future, that grand purpose that Paul has, especially if you're someone like me who's read the entire series, and you can almost see where Frank Herbert was going with this idea, where he expounds upon in Messiah and then Children of Dune and God Emperor and everything after that. Dune, I don't know if it was originally planned as a series. I don't remember that information. But you can see so easily how he planted those seeds ahead of time of being able to revisit this universe. Um, and this is not necessarily a book that is, action heavy. This is not Red Rising. If you come to Dune with expectations that it's going to be like Red Rising, or even as action heavy as something like Sun Eater, you're going to be sorely disappointed. This book does not prioritize those things. This is a book that prioritizes themes and ideas over everything else. And as someone who doesn't necessarily always enjoy that, I think the way that Frank goes about actually distilling that information to us, the readers, is kind of genius. Because there are so many books and so many series I've read that are very theme or idea focused. Stuff like Malazan's very theme and idea focused. I'm reading some more non-genre fiction right now that's very theme and idea focused. And a lot of these authors fail to make their ideas and their themes interesting. Erickson doesn't, but there are authors out there who prioritize these things and they make it really boring to read. It feels like a lecture instead of a book. Whereas Herbert, he still entwines a very cohesive and compelling narrative. The villains are great, the heroes are great. There is this sense of dread that you have for Paul and what he's going through, because he's a young boy. Even at the end of the series, he's only like, at the end of this book anyways, he's only like 17. He's not very old. And this mantle is forced upon him. Both Duke and Kwisatz Haderach, the Lisan al-Gaib, the one who leads the way, who shows the path, all those things. And I just think that this is one of those books where if people are like, oh, like what science fiction book do I have to read? Like what is it? It's Dune. If someone is only going to read one fiction book in their life, one book, I think I would probably pick Dune, to be honest. Like if I could only read like one story for the rest of my life, I think that this would be probably the number one contender in my mind. Because it's just simply one of those books. The more you revisit, the more you appreciate. The first time I read it, I gave it a 10. And the second time I read it, I gave it a 10. And I can tell you right now, I'm going to give it a 10 again. But the first time I read it, there were things about the book that I didn't fully understand. There were some choices that Frank made as an author that I didn't fully appreciate, and not to say that people are always going to agree with me on these things, but the first time I read it, I was like, oh, the prose and the way that like it's kind of this like weird third person narrative thing going on where it jumps around and things that maybe you shouldn't as a reader. That was weird to me the first time, but upon rereading it, second and third time, it's actually something I've kind of come to respect about what he's doing as an author. And again, the ideas and the amount of just things that he puts into this novel is incredible. The politics and the discussions you can have when it relates to the real world and what was going on during Dune's release, very interesting. The inspiration for this series is very interesting. The philosophy and the study of ecology and how should we take care of the environment, and should we, transform certain areas to make them more livable, or is that wrong? And the discussion around religion and its tool, especially in the hands of a charismatic leader, in the hands of government. What happens when religion is misused towards the masses? What's the result of that? All of that just combines to be one of the best books I've ever read, and certainly my personal favorite. So Dune is incredible. If for some reason you haven't read it yet, I would highly recommend it. It's not a book that everyone's going to love. I know many people who I turned on to this book and they came back and they're like, I get what you like about it, but this isn't for me. And I respect that. But I think everyone should try and read Dune once, because it is one of the greatest feats in speculative fiction out there. And my personal love of science fiction. If I could try and emulate any science fiction book in my personal writing, it would be Dune. So yeah, this book is awesome. It's just one of the best ever. 10 out of 10.